Good morning. We are just going to give a few minutes for everybody to get online here so we can get started. So grab your coffees, refill your juice, your water, whatever you need. We're going to be chatting for about 30 to 45 minutes, and we'll get started in just a minute or two. I'm excited to see some of our current families here on the list joining us, as well as some of our new families. All right, it looks like we have a big bulk of visitors, so we're going to get started. I just want to welcome everybody to our virtual open house. My name is Debbie Fallon. I'm the Director of Admissions, and we are super excited to have you here. We wish it was in person and that we could be showing you our classrooms and our amazing campus, but we're gonna do it a little different. So our open house is we are welcoming you into our homes, and some are on campus, but we just wanna share with you what Rancho has to offer, and then be able to answer some questions for you. We do have a virtual tour in progress, so we'll be sending that out to you next week. So you'll be able to see classrooms and more of the physical campus next week. I want to introduce to you the other panelists joining me today. We have Mr. Jerry Stayton. He is our secondary principal.
Hi, guys.
We have Mrs. Mary Kathryn Boucher. She is our elementary principal.
Hi, everyone. Good morning.
And Mrs. Mindy Silberman, our preschool director.
Good morning.
I want to just start quickly and let all of them, as they start this session off, tell you what they love about Rancho and what they feel is just a huge advantage for you to have your students here with us. Go ahead, Jerry.
Would you like me to start? Okay, usually ladies first, but I'll obey. So the thing about Rancho from the secondary perspective that I think is unique is we are at that place as a school, our size and with our people, that we have a lot of the capabilities of all the schools around us, and we're still able to keep things really personal. And because we have so many opportunities and we're not a massive school, kids can get involved in anything and actually be a key person, a key player, and a key element of our robotics team. And they can play volleyball, and they can also be involved in the school play. So a lot of times in school systems that are massive, kids kind of can only pick one route, and they're kind of in that lane. And if they're going to do the play, that's all they're really going to do. Or if they're going to play basketball, that's all they're really going to do. But that's not the case for Rancho. We have all those same opportunities, with a lot more personal involvement, and kids can just get involved in more things. And really, that's one of the big pieces of high school that's important, is it gives kids an opportunity to see and learn their gift set. And as they kind of begin in 7th grade and work their way through 12th grade, we're learning them, and we're watching their gifts come to the surface, and we're able to see some things really shine, and that's really fun. That's fun, rather than just sort of going to school and being in this large group where they're opportunities are limited because of the mass, opportunities really aren't limited at Rancho, and we're excited about that.
That's awesome. Mary Kathryn?
Excuse me. What I love about Rancho, it's just in the elementary world, it's just such a family feel here. We really get to know you and your family personally, and the teachers, myself, everyone up in the office. We care about you. We care about what's happening in your life. And, we ask you what we can pray for you and, how we can support your family and kind of go on this journey of elementary education together. And just that really team and family atmosphere, I think, makes it very special here.
Great. Mindy?
What I love about Rancho is that we've been providing preschool services to the Temecula Valley for many, many years. And what's really fun is some of the children who started in our preschool are now parents and bringing their children to preschool, and they're remembering all the fun things that they got to do to start off their journey in Christian education. And that is really fun for us to see. They'll go, oh, I remember when so-and-so was here, and she was my teacher, and now I'm back, and my daughter and my son are back. And we love that. And we get to see the parents every day and partner with them and pray with them. And it's a really great family nurturing environment here. And that's what I love about Rancho.
Yeah, I agree. I think that says a lot when they themselves bring their own children back to Rancho. Let's start with some of the information that can help families learn a little bit more. Let's begin the discussion with curriculum and how we teach our students. And Mindy, we'll start off with you.
Great. We have the pleasure of being able to do a couple of different things in the preschool because they're just starting off on their journey in education. We are able to meet them right where they're at. So we call that developmental. So developmentally, right where they are is where we get to start. So we are able to teach them letters and sounds. We're able to teach them numbers and concepts. We're able to teach them how to write their names, how to cut with scissors, and all of those skills are so important to be able to move to the next level. Two areas that we concentrate on most are our social emotional development and our spiritual development. So our social emotional development, we're able to offer that group experience that teaches them so many skills. It teaches them how to negotiate, it teaches them how to lead, it teaches them how to follow, it teaches them how to share resources. And the list goes on and on, but we feel here at Rancho that if we can really shore up and strengthen those social emotional skills, that they are going to be on the best footing to start kindergarten, because that's what's needed. Our two-pronged approach is also the spiritual development. We have the honor and privilege of being able to share Jesus with these children every single day. They take home their memory verses to their parents, and we've seen them memorize them at home and come back to school, and they tell us our memory verses, and we take videos of them and post it on our Instagram and our Facebook, and it is just such a pleasure. We do chapel once a week, and we do daily Bible lessons, and to watch these little ones just grow and thrive in the knowledge of our Lord and Savior it just blesses us every single day.
Yes, that's awesome. And then you included that you're preparing them for kindergarten. So I'm going to let Mary Kathryn share how she is preparing our kindergarten through sixth grade students.
Yeah, so we build right off of preschool with that, starting in kindergarten up through sixth grade. Our teachers are wonderful, first of all, and they take the state standards as well as our school standards and combine them and work with our students at their level. Here in the elementary school, we are believers that all children are gifted just the way God made them. So, all kids aren't going to learn the same. Maybe they're going to be gifted in one area or another, but we're here to meet the kids at their level and support them through their education and, really tailor instruction to their needs. We're big believers in the theory of multiple intelligences, which basically says that, we're all different types of learners, whether you're a student who maybe needs to move more in the classroom, or you're a student who likes to see pictures as they're learning. Our teachers are trained to be able to incorporate all of that into their lessons. So it's really fun and engaging at the elementary school level. We want kids to just love learning and really build that foundational love of learning. and be able to, you know, question and think critically and problem solve. And so those are all skills that we teach them here at Rancho throughout the day in a multitude of ways. We also, the beauty of a private school and being here is we can offer different things than maybe other schools can. For example, if we have a student who is, you know, really excelling in math, we have the flexibility and freedom in our schedule to maybe move them up a grade level in math if they need to. We have a math block. And so those are little things that are positives, in my opinion, that we can really meet kids at their level here in the elementary world.
And then Jerry, you have the distinct advantage of training those young individuals to be university ready, life ready. Tell us how you do that at the secondary level.
Right. Well, it's fun to have them come from sixth grade. I guess that's another big plus about a school like Rancho is all your kids are on one campus.
Yeah.
And like Mary Kathryn, they can move kids up when they see that gift come out. We can do the same thing. We actually have a number of eighth graders that do take ninth grade courses. They just go upstairs and take a ninth grade course. And so that's kind of fun to be able to move kids forward. We do just sort of tactically, we work hard to make sure that the majority of our classes are UC approved. I think we actually just got all of our Bible classes or theology classes UC approved. And so that's a big thing to our families to make sure that our high school classes matter at that level. We have a number of AP courses, but more recently, we just set up a great agreement with Arizona State University and Grand Canyon to have a number of dual credit options available for kids. So we're really looking to see just how far they can go. We don't want to put limits on them academically. And we have a typical high school, you know, our teachers are always looking for the best curriculum that has that mix of state standards. And I would say a decent amount of our curriculum is going to be very similar, if not exactly the same as what you would find in a public school. But what makes it different is it's being taught from a Christian perspective. You're being taught by a Christian teacher that knows the field, knows the discipline. And so we certainly don't want to handicap our kids by not, you know, by only, some Christian schools really will only pick Christian curriculum. And there's some great Christian curriculum out there, don't get me wrong. But there are times when there's curriculum that's just better. And with a Christian teacher, you can take all kinds of curriculum and create something fantastic for kids. And so we're doing a lot of that in the secondary school as well. We have guidance counselors that begin working with kids really moving into seventh grade. And so we have a team of wonderful people that want to help create schedules and build a plan for families beginning in middle school and working all the way through to graduation. And that's pretty exciting to all of us to see that thing come into play. We do have several things to offer in science, of course. We go all the way up to AP Physics, and we go all the way up to AP Portfolio and Art, and we have AP Lang and Literature. So we have all those high-end classes, but then woven into the curriculum, we also have a lot of opportunities for kids that need help to get help. We'll talk a little bit later about Discovery Center. But while we have all these courses that are college level courses, we also have a lot of things going on for kids that maybe will just move into their family business. We're developing a really aggressive business track for kids that really won't need to go to college. They can graduate high school and jump into business right away. So again, we like a lot of opportunities. We don't like to put limits on kids. So
we are going to talk about our Discovery Center next, and just kind of the support that our Discovery Center provides for each of your levels. So you can, whatever you feel you didn't cover in curriculum, just kind of share how these awesome people in our Discovery Center are there to help support our teachers and our students. And I'll let each of you elaborate a little bit on that.
can I go ahead and start off with that?
Okay, sure.
Okay, I hate to jump in and start off and jump in front of the ladies, but I do want to give just a brief history, because you may hear the phrase Discovery Center at a lot of Christian schools. It doesn't mean that it's the same at every Christian school. So Discovery Center was sort of this idea that came out of the National Institute for Learning Differences, NILD, which is a great institution. But they worked their way into a lot of Christian schools with something called Discovery Center. And that happened in most Christian schools a number of years ago. And then in every school, it either stayed the same or it evolved and developed. And in Rancho, it has evolved and developed. It isn't just a singular program that was more of a learning therapy. It didn't really tie, the original version of Discovery Center didn't even tie to the classroom at all. Kids would pay for separate therapists to work with their kids in terms of just learning issues. We have that, but we've really expanded it to become more of an educational services unit, where there's more tutoring going on. It's not just therapists that are working with kids, but there's tutoring, there's specific help for math. We have a test center in the secondary where kids can come and take their tests outside of the classroom without time limits if necessary. And we've really grown Discovery Center to work more hand in hand with what's actually happening in the classroom. So it's not its own separate program. But it's more tied to what the kids are doing in the program every day. So it's a huge support for us. We actually even had some kids that had some pretty profound difficulties as they kind of worked into their senior year. And the people in that Discovery Center really just took those seniors under their wing and walked them through and are getting them to graduation. And it's a struggle, really is a struggle. Some kids really have some big hurdles to get through, but Discovery Center has been outstanding for our life in middle school and in secondary.
Yeah, it's a huge blessing to us. Mary Kathryn, how do they support your teachers and students at the elementary level?
Yeah, so I do want to just say with our teachers and educators that work within the Discovery Center, many of them, if not all of them, are specialized, credentialed teachers that, specialize in a certain area. So they are very qualified to be working with our students. You'll hear them called tutors, but they do have that training that they need to really, really hone in with what exactly the kids need and how to support them. At the elementary level, it's wonderful. They support reading, math, homework, organization, executive functioning skills. And it looks a little bit different, kind of just depending again on what that particular student needs. Sometimes we'll have a Discovery Center teacher push into the classroom to support the student while they're learning and getting direct instruction from their classroom teacher. Sometimes it's one-on-one pull-out support. So they're really going to pull out of the classroom, work one-on-one, and focus on maybe where those holes are in their understanding, or where they're going to need some support. And then it's also after school. So if after school is going to work better for your family, we can make it work where you'll meet with your Discovery Center instructor after school to, again, you can work on homework or whatever it is that needs to take place to support your learner. They do work very well with our teachers. Collaboration is really important here at all levels. And so they work well, they know the curriculum. In elementary, we are adopting new curriculum next year. And so they're in all of those trainings also, so that they get all the same, information that our teachers do too. So they work right alongside them just to support all of our learners in our classrooms.
Great. And Mindy, our littles, tell us how they support your teachers.
They support our teachers in just a phenomenal way, because as you know, if those building blocks aren't in place to enter into kindergarten, first grade, second grade, that's where sometimes some of those problems begin to rise. So they really help us on, so for instance, in language, they did a whole workshop on phonetic awareness and how we as preschool teachers, starting in our 2-year-old program, can build that in the children so that by the time they get to kindergarten, they have those blocks firmly in place to be built upon. So they're a great support to our teachers. They help out with assessing some students to help us challenge them more. And then they help us again mostly in the teacher development area, which is awesome because their expertise is honed in on those skills that we need.
That's great. The next thing that we're going to talk about, which is huge for students and parents, and it just kind of speaks to, I know Mary Kathryn talked a little bit about just our staff and how we love the students and all of that love and support that we give the students it does. It helps them build confidence. And so as they build confidence to try different things, we want to share with you some of the electives and programs that our students can be involved in. Mary Kathryn, I'll let you talk about your programs.
Yeah, no problem. So at the elementary level, we have all of our students take elective classes. Those classes include PE, computer lab / kind of a STEM lab that we're turning it into, an art. They take art, they'll take music or band, and then they also, and we also have something called upper elementary. So our 5th and 6th graders, their classes and their schedules look a little bit different. This upcoming year, we're so excited to offer specialty electives for our 5th and 6th graders, and this is going to be kind of like a sneak peek into what middle school will look like. And it will be 1 or 2 classes that the kids will take a week that are a little bit more creative and fun, and the kids will get to choose what they are. So it could be things like journalism, a weightlifting class, a health and nutrition class, just different things that the kids might be interested in to let them have that creative outlet. And again, those are all taught by teachers that are certified and credentialed. We also offer Spanish for all of our students. So kindergarten through 6th grade takes Spanish, and, at that beginning level, and it's just wonderful to see. The kids will do different performances, and, just different opportunities for them to show leadership throughout the day here at Rancho Christian. We also offer a variety of clubs on campus. I like to really put that back on the kids. So if a student is really interested in, say, sharks, for example, my 2-year-old is very interested in sharks right now. So say a student's interested in sharks, and they want to start, an oceanography club or a shark club or something like that. We put it on the students and we say, that's great. You can definitely do that. Find a teacher who will do it with you, and start a club and get that information out there. So we love to start building those little leadership skills really at an early age, and just making it fun for the kids, things that they're interested in. We had a little band start earlier this year. They met at lunchtime to practice their instruments and then got to perform, and just different things like that. We'll have Bible study clubs that have started. We do have an ASB. We have a yearbook club. Just down here at the elementary. So lots of opportunities to keep the kids busy and engaged here at school, and really, like I said, learning those leadership skills and socialization skills, which is really important at the elementary age.
Perfect. Mindy, do you want to share what awesome programs and activities your students participate in?
Sure. We do a lot every day in the classroom with the children to help them determine some of their likes and dislikes by being able to supply them with different learning opportunities. So that's part of what we do. We do have a program that we offer the parents, and we have coaches that come in and they teach the children the different skills, the basic skills to be able to play soccer, basketball, different sporting events. So we call we have a group of coaches that we hire that come in and teach that to the kids. So the parents have an opportunity to sign up for that. We also try to encourage, getting up on stage and maybe doing some performances, because that can be intimidating to some children. So we try to do that at an early age. We have 2 performances that we do where we get up on the big stage and they get to sing and recite their Bible verses. They also get the opportunity to do that in chapel, where they each class will lead a chapel, and the children are up in front of the whole school to lead chapel. So we try to give them some experiences like that, just to kind of get their feet wet before they enter elementary school.
Yeah, that's really important. Jerry, tell us about some of the programs that our secondary students can get involved with.
Wow, it would be difficult to cover all of them, but certainly as a high school, we have a full palette of performing arts and sports. I mean, we have 3 plays a year. We finish with a musical, which that's for a school that isn't a super large school. What we produce with our school plays is pretty incredible, and so that's a neat thing. We have worship bands for our chapel. We have teams, we have mission trips for kids. There are service trips for kids where they just go and serve, and there's educational mission trips where they just go and learn. And so those teams actually form these great groups. But we have other types of clubs that begin in middle school and go all the way through high school, like robotics and obviously yearbook and ASB, and even we have even a separate leadership piece besides ASB. We have student government going on at the high school level, and there's hard to cover it all in what would be, we could take up all the time just talking about the mission trips that we do. But, the kids are involved in a New York trip and a DC trip. And then we take science classes all seem to go somewhere in middle school in particular. And then we have the spiritual retreats that we do at the beginning of the year as a high point for high school kids, where we get away. And the last couple of years, we've gone to Palomar and had really powerful spiritual input on those retreats as well. And 7th and 8th grade have their own retreat trips that they do. So
it's interesting for high school students when you ask them what was their best part of the whole school year, how many of them, and these are our domestic students and international students, but they will say it was the retreat.
Yeah, they all love it. It's just a great thing that happens. And then we have the Friday night football, which is just phenomenal to have. And we've been blessed with a fantastic basketball team that's, we can't even play in our own gym sometimes. We have to get other gyms around to play in because it's packed, and that's just so fun. So.
Yes, there definitely is usually a lot of life on campus.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about the school day and what the schedule looks like. It's important for families to kind of know that, yes, you can have all your kids on one campus and just kind of how all those times work together. We like to be, cognitive of family schedules and make sure that drop off and pick up are all around the same time. So Mindy, we'll start with you and tell us about your preschool day.
Sure. We have a lot of different options in our preschool to be able to meet the needs of all of our families. Our full day program runs from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. and you can choose any hours in between that. We have a half day program that goes from 8:30 to 12:30. And then we have what we call lunch only, which is 8:30 to 1. Each program you can choose how many days a week you want. So we've got a 2-day, a 3-day, a 4-day, and a 5-day. So that's a lot, but that's what we offer.
Perfect. Mary Kathryn?
Yes. So on Mondays, every Monday morning, we do have a late start. So school on Mondays starting next year, school will start at 9:20. This allows for professional development on Monday mornings with all of our teachers. So on Mondays, it's 9:20 to 3 o'clock. And then Tuesday through Friday, school is 8:30 to 3 o'clock. And throughout the day, there's for our K1 and 2 classes, there's a morning recess, lunch, and an afternoon recess. For 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th, they have a morning recess and then their lunch time, which also includes, a break and recess. We also have, for our upper elementary, our 5th and 6th graders, they do switch classes. So there's 2 to 3 teachers at each grade level, and the kids will switch classes for the different subjects. They will also have a homeroom teacher. So there's a little bit more switching and freedom that takes place up in our upper elementary 5th and 6th grade. We do offer enrichment, a program called Enrichment, and that is before and after school care, and then there's also different activities and things that take place during the day with enrichment, but before school care opens up at 7 a.m. for our families if they need kind of that before school childcare, and then we close in the evening at 6 o'clock. So the enrichment is really made up in the afternoons. There will be some homework time. There's different enrichment workers that help the different kids, different age levels with their homework, and then it's structured. So there's playtime, there's snack time, there's different activities that take place. Mr. Porter is in charge of our enrichment program, and he's just wonderful and creates these amazing clubs and activities and different classes that take place throughout the year after school to just, again, continue to engage our students here at Rancho.
Yeah, and what I love about those enrichment classes, and Mr. Porter, he is everything fun. So that's kind of his job, and what an awesome job to have for our elementary students. But the benefit to families is that your student can take these enrichment classes after school, so you are not having to pick them up from school, drive them all over the community. You leave them at school, they take the class after school, and you pick them up when they're done. So it's really a convenient thing for our families, I think.
And some of those enrichment classes, sorry, I just mentioned this, Debbie, some of them include, cooking or sewing, robotics. We had kids like racing robots all over campus our last session. It's so much fun. Basketball, just different things that the kids are interested in that, we'll have a teacher come in that gets to instruct those. So it's really fun. And they're different all the time. So they change up throughout the year.
I like that. They stay fresh. That's for sure.
Really fun.
Jerry, talk to us about the secondary school day schedule.
Well, before, I just want to say my son, who's a sophomore, actually went down to elementary and played basketball with the fifth graders. And that brought out a pretty cool gift in my son, who loved doing that. And so it was just kind of a fun thing to be able to do. And that's a cool piece when you can see older kids helping younger kids, whether it's high school to middle school or to elementary. That's just really fun. And so it kind of keeps the family feel. So high school typically starts 8 o'clock. Of course, Monday is a late start, so it's 9 o'clock. And then middle school is staggered 15 minutes after that. And so then we're out at I think 2:45 and 3 is when we're finished. So it is a little bit staggered for high school. We kind of all staggered. So we're just about 10 or 15 minutes apart from each other. So it isn't everybody showing up on campus at once and everybody leaving at once. And so we do have a block schedule for both middle school and high school. And next year is going to be different. For next year, we are putting all the classes in the same block times. Now, it's not that way this year. They're off because of the staggered start. They're off by a number of minutes. And so your middle school schedule is like 20 minutes different than your high school schedule. And that's not the case next year. We've actually staggered a little bit. We've made morning classes and final classes a little bit different times so that we have the same schedule all the way through the day, which does help kids move up or down as needed in their classes. So they have more flexibility in what they can take and when. Next year, we plan on having roughly a 45-minute lunch. That's where we can gain a little bit of flexibility too. And middle school and high school will be at the same time, but in different places. So they're not necessarily all piled into one spot for lunch, but they are separated. So next year's day schedule is a little different than this year's, but that gives us some more flexibility.
Great. Thanks for sharing that. And I know some of you have already touched on chapel and Bible, the memory verses. And so I just want to kind of dive in a little bit deeper just to kind of share with our families how we help a student with their spiritual life. So we'll let Mindy start out here.
Part of the curriculum that we use a research-based curriculum, is there's a Bible component to it. So that is the curriculum that we use. It determines kind of our theme, our memory verse, and our character trait. So we try to tie that all into the spiritual development part of it. The teachers have lessons that they do every day in the classroom in a small group setting. And then once a week, we all meet for chapel. So chapel day looks like everybody in their same shirts. We have little t-shirts for all the children that has RC with a little eaglet on it, because we're the Eagles, but we're the eaglets. So the little eaglet on it. And we all wear the same shirts, which is really fun. And we go into one of our Rancho Theater, which is a large room when all the preschool gathers together. We pledge, do our pledges. We sing some worship songs. We learn how to pray. We also teach the character and the Bible story at that point in time. And we have done it with videos, we've done it with skits, we've done it with songs, we've done it with puppets, we've done it many different ways to keep the children engaged. But chapel is one of their favorites. They love chapel. They love going to chapel. They love learning about Jesus. They love learning about the songs is their absolutely most favorite thing. So that's part of, we end with about 2 or 3 songs, and they just love them. I mean, even my little 2-year-olds, they may not know all the words, but they all do all the motions, and they stand up and jump and hoot and holler and, all the fun stuff that we get to do. And it's just a great experience to, again, get their feet wet for what's going to be coming in elementary school.
That's awesome. Mary Kathryn, tell us, what are they doing in elementary school?
Yeah, so this is so much fun. In elementary school, we just want them to get to know God and feel his love every day, and just know how loved they all are. And so we start our mornings every single morning with our pledges and prayers. So we say the Christian flag pledge, Bible pledge, our Pledge of Allegiance, and students lead us in prayer. And it's so fun. Each class is in charge of a week, and different kids will get up and lead those. So again, honing in those leadership and public speaking skills. Bible is taught daily in our classrooms. Our teachers are wonderful. They have a research-based curriculum. All of our curriculum is research-based, but their Bible curriculum that they follow that is vertically aligned. So, you're not going to be covering the same thing every single year, but they're learning, all of the Bible stories. They're learning, just really that spiritual growth that's starting at such a young age. And so Bible's taught daily. They, again, like in preschool, have verses that they memorize, and they recite those at chapel. I always tell the kids that you could probably ask them, but chapel day is my favorite day of the week, and it's on Wednesdays as well. We have 2 chapels, a kindergarten through 3rd grade chapel, and then a 4th through 6th grade chapel. And we're so blessed here because we have an elementary pastor. And so Pastor Beaver, who works, on the ministry side, the church side here, but he also works within our school, and it's so wonderful. He'll be out playing, outside basketball or kickball or whatever it is with the kids. He's really a mentor figure to our students, and it's such a wonderful component that we have. He leads many of our chapels, as well as our worship team. So our wonderful music teacher, Mrs. Edall, at the beginning of the year, does rehearsals and tryouts and all sorts of stuff to develop a worship team. So we have a 3rd and 4th grade worship team and a 5th and 6th grade worship team made up of students, and they lead our students in worship every Wednesday. And it's just so wonderful to see God coming through them and working through them. We also have something that's really fun in elementary called class chapels. And so each class gets to plan, prepare, organize, and then present a chapel once throughout the year. And so they'll present to everyone on their particular chapel day. And it's such a fun way for them to really get involved, get into the Word of God, and they get really creative with it. Sometimes they do skits, they'll do songs, they'll do lots of different things. So that bringing in that performing arts piece to our chapels is really important and so fun too. And they're just my favorite day of the week. It's so much fun.
Yeah, and I want to add to that when the students are performing, the parents are all invited to come watch that. And we do welcome our parents, onto campus to kind of see what chapel is like and what the students are learning at any time. So I just want to add that in there too. Jerry, what does chapel and spiritual life look like for secondary students?
Well, it's powerful stuff. We actually are making a number of changes floating from this year into next year, and changes that we're pretty excited about. We actually implemented some stuff second semester this year, that we actually, second quarter this year, we actually got into it a little bit early. The normal schedule this year was to have 3 20-minute chapels a week. And those were kind of owned, I guess, by the Bible teachers and a particular class that we offer in Bible called Advanced Theology. The Advanced Theology class helps plan chapels. That's part of what they do. And so the 3 chapels were good, but we felt like we were just sort of missing opportunities to discuss. The kids have Bible class already, and then they were going into 20-minute chapels and then going back to class. And so we thought we were missing an opportunity. So this year we took that middle chapel, which would happen on Thursday. It was Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday. That middle chapel, we would take it and do small groups. And so small groups took the place of a chapel, and kids in high school, we just did this in high school, kids in the high school could sign up whether they wanted to be in a small group. We didn't force them into small groups. And that went really well. So next year, what we're doing is we have, instead of having 3 chapels a week, we have 1 chapel in a block period. So it's a 90-minute block, but within that we have chapel, and then we have the kids go immediately into small groups. And so that model has got a lot of excitement with our teachers, and we have a lot of small group leaders that love meeting with smaller groups of high school kids, and we're pushing that into middle school. And so middle school has the same setup where they're going to have a chapel and then a small group. Middle school is going to be, obviously it's only 2 grades, and so it's a little easier to manage that. So we're excited about both the small group element of that, and chapel. So we have the chance to really discuss with the kids chapel at their level. It's not just more downloads of truth. Now we can actually have a place to discuss how it impacts their life personally. And it's another place where kids can get to know each other better. Those groups are, again, more sign-up type groups in high school, but we can be real deliberate in middle school and kind of mix 8th graders and 7th graders. The groups are specific by gender. It's boys groups and girls groups. And so we can mix those and just get a lot of leadership brought to the surface and a lot of good discussion. And so that's chapel. Bible is changing too. We're actually in middle school separating Bible by gender. So there's the boys' Bible class is just boys and the girls' Bible class is just girls. And we feel like that's strategic at that age to really give our female teachers and our male teachers opportunities to really disciple and really talk about some foundational issues before getting into high school. And we can get, just as specific as they need to without having, boys in the classroom to be embarrassed or girls in the classroom to be embarrassed, because that's a big deal at that age group. And in Bible class for high school, we're moving to semester classes. So all the classes are semester long and the kids have options. This year it was just leveled Bible, which is just 9th grade Bible, 10th grade Bible. So if you showed up in 11th grade, you only took 11th grade Bible, but that's not the case next year. We're able to develop a number of different classes. So it's like an elective style, but they can't choose not to take Bible. They have to choose Bible class, but now they have a choice of several things that they can take. And we've actually developed specific Bible classes for students that have never been in a Christian school, never had a Bible class before. You can't just throw them into 11th grade Bible and expect that they have all that previous knowledge. So we really have an intro to Bible class for kids that are coming in. It's a semester long. And it really kind of catches them up with all the stuff they would have missed had they been in Christian school for those previous years. And we're developing special Bible classes for international students as well, to really give them a sense of the Bible and Christianity and the culture that they're in. We have a number of students from overseas. And so the flexibility we have now with semester-long classes lets us really address key things with kids. So we're excited about that.
Great. Before we jump into the next subject, there have been a few questions popping in, some that will contact you afterwards just because you had multiple questions. So we will definitely touch base with you as soon as we're done here. But one question that everyone will want to know the answer to this, and this parent, it specifically pertains to secondary. They will have a high schooler and a middle schooler. And so their question is, how will their kids be challenged academically? Because yes, we are a Christian school, so we do have that spiritual component. Mm-hmm. But speak to that fact that we are a private Christian school, and how do we accelerate our students academically, Jerry?
Well, one thing is just natural to a school like ours. Because we're a Christian school and because our class sizes are honestly just, you're going to be anywhere, the upper level courses, or of course you may have some really small classes up there like pre-calc is going to be bigger than AP Calc. AP Calc is a little smaller, but because of just the maneuverability we have with our kids, Christian schools in general and ours in particular tend to just move through things faster than public schools around us. We just do. And it's not because we're good and they're bad. It's just, honestly, we have a lot less issues and a lot less things holding us back. We just can accelerate the pace. It's natural for us to go faster. And we should go faster, given the kids that we have in our classes. And we typically do. And beyond that, our focus really has been more to develop that sort of that college track. Again, kids don't have to go to college. We know that. But we have pushed ourselves to develop a pretty wide variety of AP courses. And then, of course, we're adding this piece with Arizona State University. So kids literally can take college classes take Arizona State University classes while they're here in our building. So those are the ways that we look to challenge them. And we have plenty of students that even beyond just the classroom and academics, when we saw areas of giftedness, we were able to plug them into places in terms of just internships in the community. We'd like to make that more formal. We haven't taken that next step yet, but we are looking to build internships into our program eventually in a more formal way. But we have done it with kids that were specifically gifted in certain areas. And we've been able to work with the community in that way too. So,
I think it's important to add too, Mr. Stayton, that because, we just can individualize so much here because the class sizes are a little bit smaller. And when your students come here, compared to a big public high school, they're not just a number. So when they come here, we know their name. We know their brothers and sisters' names. We know, how they're going to learn best and how we can kind of tailor the education to them, which I think is such a huge, crucial component, especially for those teenage years, that middle school range. I taught middle school for many years, and going into that high school range where your kids aren't just going to be a number. They really are going to be an individual and a person here. And our teachers are so wonderful at being able to really meet their needs and kind of differentiate as needed. So I just wanted to.
No, that's great. And while this is my first year, I have had the chance to talk to a number of kids that have transferred in, and I have yet to find one that tells me, yeah, it was easier at my other school. Yeah. haven't had that yet. Most of them are like, wow, you guys go a lot faster here, or wow, you guys, it's unusual for kids to show up to class and not have their work done. Everyone gets their work done. Everyone comes to class and everyone's ready to go. And so again, we just don't have a lot of things holding us back, and we're thankful for that.
Yeah. The biggest thing is, what we can offer, and just our staff and faculty and the support that they feed into the students. They get help throughout the day. We're all on distance learning right now. So even after class is over, whether it's recorded or live, they have office hours. They can talk to their teachers. Their teachers want to know how they're doing. How are things going at home? How was your basketball game? How was your gymnastics meet? So they want to know all of those things. And we have just seen that with that level of care that fills a student, they are confident, they want to succeed, and we are happy to partner with parents and help make that happen. We're going to dive into some fun trips. I know we've talked a little bit about some of them as we talked about curriculum, but let's talk about some of our educational on and off campus trips. And we'll start with our littles, Mindy.
Well, we bring the field trips to us. We don't take the children to the field trips at this age, but we have a lot of fun things that we do. We do puppet shows. We have a lady that comes in a couple times a year and does live puppet shows for us, which is really awesome. The kids enjoy seeing her. We've got a worship team that comes in a couple of times a year, and they have their own ministry called Impact Kids, and they come in and they do a little mini concert for our children. We've got a reptile petting zoo that comes in. So we try to keep them, I guess as field trip savvy as we can in preschool and still keep them here at campus.
That's great. Mary Kathryn, I know there's a lot of fun, exciting field trips and overnight trips that our older elementary students get to take. So tell us a couple of those.
Yeah, elementary school, right? So much fun. So all of our grade levels go on a variety of field trips throughout the year, generally between 1 to 2 field trips off campus, and then we bring lots of things onto campus as well. In our 4th graders do get to travel to Sacramento, which is so fun. It's such a great trip. One of those things that the kids will remember forever. It's such a bonding thing too with them. So they do get to travel to Sacramento. And then our 6th graders this year was the first year that we kind of started this, and they went to a forest home. So the Christian camp, they went away for a weekend and really just, got to worship and pray and develop spiritually as 6th graders together. And it just was so wonderful. The kids came back just even more in love with God and each other, and, making new friends kind of in different element. And so that was just so fun. But our field trips are great. The kids, they go to a variety of places. It kind of varies each year, but has to do with their curriculum. So it is, kind of education based and supporting what they're doing in the classroom, but definitely highlights for the kids.
Great. Jerry, I know you've talked about the science trips and New York trips and missions trips. Do you have anything else you want to add to that before we go to the next topic?
No, I mean, it's just the the fun of the Catalina trip for your middle schoolers. You know, that's an overnight trip. They take the ferry to the island and kind of explore the California islands that way. And DC, New York, we're actually looking to, those two trips used to be one, where it was a DC, New York trip together, and then they split them. But as I'm working with Mr. Majeski, we're actually looking to put them back together again so they can do it. And that may be in every other year, or maybe every year, depends. Mr. Majeski loves to travel. So I know this year, unfortunately, he had a trip planned to Costa Rica, and that was a ministry trip planned to Costa Rica, but it got canceled because of Corona. But the baseball team has actually taken a trip down to Dominican Republic. So there's trips that our teams take. Our basketball team travels everywhere. There's ministry that our various teams do. We have a robotics team that travels everywhere for their robotics competitions. And so there's a lot of traveling going on in high school, whether you're on any kind of team. And of course, you know, our retreats are gone too. They take that's the high point, is the retreats. So yeah.
Great. And I have a parent asking, what grade does that happen for DC and New York?
High school. He takes those kids, and it's a sign up. That's my understanding. The kids sign up to take it, and then he does that over the summer. I think one year he did it over spring break. So, yep.
Okay, great. I know, Mrs. Boucher, you are addressing a question somebody has, and I know this is a big question that a lot of families have, and a little bit hard to answer, except for when you talk about preschool, but people want to know about class ratio and class sizes. And so for each of your levels, kind of just quickly address kind of sizes and how that affects their education. Mary Kathryn, we'll start with you.
Okay. I was going first there. Yeah, so in the elementary level, it kind of just depends, you know, which grade level. So in kindergarten, 20, 25, depending. We don't usually K6 go over 28. I have a class right now that is at 18. So it kind of just depends. But we do try to keep it a little bit on the smaller side, just to, you know, benefit the kids a little. But yeah.
You know, there really is a sweet spot when it comes to class size. And I've been, you know, doing this now for 25 years. And I've been in some tiny Christian schools, and I've been in some very large Christian schools, and there is a sweet spot. You really, the common wisdom or common knowledge would say, wow, if you only had 5 or 6 kids in your class, that would be great. And I would say, no, that's not great. When you have 5 or 6 kids in your class, what you find, what I saw, because I spent some years early in my career in these really small Christian schools with really tiny classes, all the kids tend to perform along a flat line. They all kind of do the same thing. They all kind of perform at the same level. There's almost this, they are so tight, so small, so close together all day that they don't distinguish themselves. You know, they really don't. And the same thing tends to happen when you have classes of 50 or 60. It all tends to sort of flatline when you get to, but so there's this sweet spot. You know, you certainly want to be more than 20, but you don't want to be over 40. But when you're in that mix between 20 and 40, that's when kids can both be kind of an individual and also fit into the class. And that's just healthier. It just works better, in my opinion, to have those classes. You just don't want to be too small. And a little bit depends upon the character of the class and the characters in the class. But you really do want to have a size that's viable, where kids can have a couple different friend groups, and where they can explore some things and distinguish themselves without feeling like that's out of the norm or I'm sticking out like a sore thumb. So
yeah, I would definitely agree with Mr. Stayton on that, especially in elementary level too. You know, sometimes it's more challenging when you have smaller numbers, because you have, you know, less kids to interact with, less kids for discussion, less ideas and things like that. So we try to keep it, you know, in the healthy range of, you know, what we've seen as educators to be successful. In the classroom, in elementary at least, there is one teacher. We do welcome and love our parent volunteers though. So we do have parents that come in and volunteer in the classroom, which, like I said, we welcome you. You're invited anytime. And then out on the playground, our enrichment staff, we have enrichment staff that's in a variety of areas, right, all over the playgrounds, to make sure that we have eyes kind of in every little area that there is out there, to support the kids, and just making sure everyone is safe with that. So yeah.
Let's go into our next topic. We want to talk about, this is very important to all of us at Rancho, as well as our families, current and prospective families. So we are one of, and I don't know if this is the state, the region, but we are super blessed, and we are just grateful that we have 2 armed security guards on our campus, just watching our campus and our kiddos throughout the school day. We do require all of our parents who volunteer to complete a live scan, and we do have access to that on our campus. So we think that that is really important. And then we want to talk about just additional safety additional safety measures that we take at each level. And so, Jerry, I'll let you start. For secondary, what are the additional safety measures other than the live scan and the security guards out on campus?
Well, we train with our teachers every year, all sorts of scenarios, which is important. We do a considerable amount of just teacher training, besides just the fire drills and all the other drills that we do. We do go through a battery of training with our teachers before the year starts. And we have the locked doors, and we have cameras everywhere, and which kids forget about. It's hilarious. And there's, all those kind of things that you have in a building like ours. But honestly, the most important thing to school safety is teachers who know their kids. And that's the most important piece. And we bring it up consistently, at least 10 times a year with our teachers. I will send out an email that says, hey, if you notice anything different, if you notice anything unusual, if kids' behaviors change, if their behavior patterns change, get into that conversation with that child, find out, ask questions. That's ultimately the best protection that a school has, is prevention. And that comes from teachers that keep it on the front part of their brain when they notice students that suddenly they're not acting the same. There are warning signs. And thankfully, we have been blessed not to have any major issues, at our school that involve students getting hurt or other things like that. We've been really blessed with that. But a lot of that is because most of our students are well known by their teachers. And we can spot the anomalies before they become dangerous. And that's probably the most important part of school safety. That's very, very underrated. It's very underrated, knowing your kids well and understanding some of because every family goes through seasons of crisis. Every family does. And again, we would love to think that we're motivated by the love of Christ to love on these families when it's hardest. And that allows us, a place where we can help and where we can take things that might end up turning bad and turning them into something good, making lemonade out of lemons. So.
There you go. Mary Kathryn, how do you keep your kiddos safe?
Yeah, I was, kind of piggybacking there off Mr. Stayton. That's just so important, just really knowing the kids. I would say that our staff and faculty here are exceptional at that. Even down to our facilities team and, people in the front office, we all know the kids. We're all checking in with them just to see how they're doing, which really is such an underrated part of school safety and school security. So we also, here in the elementary, we do lock our doors. There's one entryway for parents, during the day when school's in session. They have to come in through the office. We have like a bell that dings so we can hear when people come in. And then other doors and gates and things are locked, so you can't just walk onto campus. And the kids kind of all, of course, are behind those gates. We also have a health clerk. She's an LVN up in the front office. That's wonderful, Miss Garrett, and she's very skilled and knowledgeable at just that interpersonal relationship making, and of course knowledgeable with how to take care of kids if they get hurt or need anything like that. And then safety wise, like on top of what Mr. Stayton said, we do have a school emergency plan that is updated yearly. We work with local fire department, police department to make sure that those are all up to code. We let them look over it just to give us any advice or support that they have with that when we're talking about safety, and then our drills and things like that we do monthly. But yeah, safety is very important to us. So we, that's always kind of in the front of at least my mind, to make sure that our kids are always safe, continually walking the campus, just making sure, looking at any little cracks or holes or things, that we need to fix right away, especially out on the playground, making sure that all that equipment and all those things stay up to date and safe so that our kids are safe while they're playing and having fun.
Yeah, that's great. And Mindy,
That's
tell
always
us about your safety.
Yeah, that's always the first questions that parents ask when they come to tour the school is about the safety. And I think in this day and age, it is, a concern for all of us. So we are blessed as a preschool to be part of a larger school and a church that prioritizes safety. And that is one of the number one things that we talk about as a team constantly, to make sure that everyone is trained. So everything that Mr. Stayton said, everything that Ms. Boucher said is exactly what happens with the preschool too. We are a part of all that. On top of that, we do have alarms on all of our doors that ring, because sometimes the little children will, because they're little, they try to open the doors, and so the alarms ring. We also have one way in and one way out. Our preschool is designed kind of, if you can imagine, like a rectangle shape, and all our classroom doors lead into the rectangle, and in the middle of the rectangle is the playground. So we make sure that all the back doors are locked and alarmed. The gates are locked and alarmed. We have extra staff that I put out on the playground to stand by those gates, just as another layer of protection, I guess. And also, what Mr. Stayton said, all of my children are known by name by all of my staff.
Yeah.
So that is really important to us. So if we see a child, saying, you need to go with your teacher, like when we're out on the playground and we ring the bell and all the children have to go to their right classes, we freeze and wait and make sure, and we know where all the children go to your teacher, so that they're all accounted for. And in preschool, we always say that the children will always know how to count at least up until 18, because that's our class ratio, is 2 to 18, because every day we count in, we count out, we count in, we count out, and they all count with us. So 18 is our magic number in preschool.
that preschool is like a fort. It just is. It's a fort. Yeah, that's what it is.
Debbie, can I add real quick for the elementary? For drop off in the morning, we do have one single gate that the families and children walk through to get there. And there's always either an enrichment staff or an administrator there welcoming the kids. So we get to see them and we get to see who's dropping them off and the parents. So we really get to know the parents as well on top of the children. In the afternoons, parents actually need to come onto campus to pick up their kids from their classroom in grades K through 4. And so, they're at their classroom door. So we really take that level of security where we know, who we're giving the kids to at the end of the day, and making sure that, if it's someone else, that they're on file, and it's been approved by parents. We have driver's licenses and do checks like that, just to make sure that that relationship, not only, we really know the kid, but we also really know the families and the parents and who's dropping off, who's picking up, and kind of all of that.
Okay, that's really
I can
important.
echo that also, because that's what we have to do. They have to walk in through the door, go into the classroom, so we see the parent who brings them in, the grandparent that brings them in, say good morning, and then the same thing on the way out. So we also get that same touch point for both of them.
Yeah, and I love that the security guards are out there in the morning and after school helping with traffic control. So all of those are just great positives. The last topic I want to talk about before we end this session is I want to talk about accreditation. So Rancho Preschool through High School does have a double accreditation through ACSI, the Association of Christian Schools International, as well as WASC, Western Association of Schools and Colleges. So I just want you to kind of share with our parents what that means. Why is it important for them to know? Jerry, we'll start with you.
Well, it's great to be a part of a school that's able to do that. Not all schools can do that or choose to do that. When a school is accredited, this is really the brass tacks of what that means. It means we submit ourselves to a process of continual improvement, and that process is really verified by professionals outside of our school community. So in other words, an outside organization, it's an educational organization, comes in and verifies that we are who we say we are, and we're doing what we say that we're doing. And if we're not, we at least recognize it, and we can find a way to address it professionally. And so Association of Christian Schools International has been around for a long time, and they have an accreditation process by which a school goes through. It's every 5 years. And they have standards that you have to meet. And those standards include making sure teachers all have degrees. All your teachers have to have degrees. They need to have their license or their certification. So teacher certification is kind of the bedrock of it. And then they literally work through every detail of your program, from the finances to the faculty to the facilities to the, whatever is part of your program. They look and inspect every single piece of that and make sure that you're obeying all the local laws and health ordinances, and that you're following best practice for a school. And so when you're in an accredited school, you submit yourself to that process, and you build a self-study and give it to a team of people that come in and verify that you are who you say you are, and you are a school that's improving. And so Association of Christian Schools International, ACSI, is sort of how we work our accreditation, and then they in turn have an agreement with WASC. And so, yeah, we keep our accreditation. It's very important to us. That means a lot. It also means a lot at the next level, when kids move on to the college that they want to go to, that they're coming from a school that's accredited, that's recognized by both a Christian and a secular organization that says, yeah, you are a school that teaches correctly, that follows the right processes, and your school credits are real, they matter. And so that's pretty important to us.
Yeah, it's kind of like our report card.
Yeah.
Mary Kathryn, how does that apply to elementary?
Yeah, well, it's all the same process. So preschool through 12th grade, it's going to look the same. But a component of it that I think is really important is just that professional development piece. So our teachers here all go through professional development throughout the year. We do our best to keep them up to date with what's happening in the education world. There's portals that they can go on and watch professional development. There's professional development that we bring here on campus. So we're really just making sure that we are, staying up to speed with everything that's taking place. And our teachers are doing those best practices that we know are successful to support our students and, continue their education.
Great. Mindy?
I would have to echo exactly what Mary Kathryn said. I think that the piece that is for us is that professional development teacher experience. So it really helps us to help the teachers who've had a lot of experience, been in the field for a long time, to stay on the edge, because we're supplied with all of those resources, the current research and everything through those organizations that accredit us. So it's an amazing amount of information that they provide for us on a yearly basis that really helps our teachers to progress professionally. And that's really important in a classroom.
Thank you so much. That wraps up what we are going to discuss with you all today. I do know we have answered some questions live and then separately through all of you, and we'll be following up with additional answers to your questions. But I wanted to see before we close if anybody had any other questions that we could answer for you while we're all still live.
Hey, Debbie, I just need to make one correction on when we were talking about schedules. My half-day schedule is 8:30 to 12, not 8:30 to 12:30. Sorry.
Oh, goodness. Thank you.
It's a big deal.
Yeah. I think we've answered everything that everybody had kind of during the course of our presentation. So on behalf of our admissions team, on behalf of our entire campus and church, I want to thank, pause 1 second.
That's a good question.
Okay, go for it.
So the question is, if people can't see it, will you be offering summer education for incoming 9th graders? So Mr. Stayton, do you want to talk about what we're doing for summer? In the elementary world, we do offer some summer enrichment classes. We do have like a camp that is like a fun summer camp, but then we also have enrichment classes where, you know, we can get them prepared for 3rd grade, 4th grade, 5th grade, 6th grade, and just kind of those refresher courses that the kids need. So those are available for elementary, but then Mr. Stayton, if you want to talk about your summer courses for secondary.
Absolutely, because they have all changed recently, and we've expanded what we're going to offer. We, of course, like other schools, we were able to move pretty seamlessly to an online platform for this season of our school. And so I just went to the teachers last week and said, okay, you know, what types of things can you roll right into in June and keep going specifically for freshmen? And so right now we're looking at freshman PE. We have teachers developing a number of offerings that include, you know, some writing, all the way from PE to writing, U.S. history, some courses that freshmen could start taking as early as June 9th. They're 8-week courses designed to be pretty intensive because it's going to be a full high school credit. And we wanted those, and we're delivering those. It's not like a full school tuition. They're kind of like an a la carte. I can buy a class, relatively inexpensive, and something that can give kids space eventually in their schedule. Like they're seeing if they can get a couple of freshman courses out of the way in the summer, then they can play sports with less stress, or they can do the play with less stress, or they can open up their schedule so eventually they can take college courses their senior year. So we're literally just about to put a big flyer out. We had 4 or 5 courses initially, but then when we went to this online platform, we reopened that, rethought that, and now we're going to have several more. And so we're going to have, you know, cultural intelligence is one that we're going to offer, and we're looking to possibly even do a foreign language like Spanish over the summer. So there's lots going on, and stay tuned because we're going to begin finalizing all that, and we're going to offer signups beginning in mid-May, and then classes beginning in June 9th. So
Great. Yeah, and we'll be sharing all of that follow-up information. So I wanted to just be respectful of everyone's time, and we will be following up. We thank you for joining us. As I was saying, on behalf of our admissions team, our school, and our church, we thank you for joining us, and we hope to see you in person soon. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day. Bye-bye.